Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still here after all these years, after all these tears I shed. I'm still here and I'm walking this earth like I should be. There was days that I didn't know if I would be. Yeah, yeah. Now I stand tall with my feet in the ground and my head in the clouds. 'Cause I'm still here like I should be. Yeah, yeah, like I knew that I could be. Here we go, here we go. I'm still here. I'm here.
We are still doing our Sensational Survivor series, and I am really excited to have Kim with me today. Kim, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your diagnosis and all those fun things.
Absolutely. My name is Kim Builta. I was originally diagnosed in 2003 with stage 3 breast cancer. And then in 2010, almost exactly 7 years to the day, I was diagnosed with metastatic in my left pelvis.
Okay.
And since then, I have had various progression throughout the years and all in my bones.
Can I ask how old you were when you were diagnosed?
I was 37 when I was
Okay.
first diagnosed and
Uh,
44 when I was diagnosed metastatic.
do you have children?
I do. I have two grown daughters. And yeah,
How old were they at the time then?
they were 8 and 5 when I was first diagnosed. So they've only known me really with breast cancer.
Okay. Yeah, that definitely, I think that's true of many of the people who listen to my podcast. So I just like to kind of get that out there for people.
My oldest just turned 30 last week, so
Okay. My daughter's 27, so again, sometimes I understand, like my mom, when I turned 30, I remember my mom kind of being like, whoa, but
it's
now you get it.
I do get it. My dad one time said he'd never felt old until he had two kids that were 40. And
Yeah,
I'm understanding more of that now.
yeah, for sure. What was happening in your life prior to cancer? What were you doing?
We were just your average family of four. I was working. My husband was a teacher and a coach, and I was the director of accounting for a school district.
Okay.
And, we were just doing the things that
Yeah.
everybody does. We had soccer games and we had swim meets and what have you. So
Yeah.
just
Did he
an
coach
ordinary
soccer?
life. He didn't coach soccer. He coached football and wrestling and basketball.
My husband was also a football coach and wrestling coach for a long time. He
Oh,
still
nice,
coaches wrestling, so
nice,
yeah. So I
very
spent a lot
cool.
of Friday nights in the football
In the
stands.
stands, yep,
Happy to
really.
be done with that. So it was great. It was great for a lot of years, but I was not sad when he retired from that part. So,
I understand.
so what changed when you were diagnosed with metastatic disease?
Yeah, a lot changed. My kids were in high school and middle school when I
Okay.
was diagnosed metastatic. It was in my left pelvis. I was a 44-year-old just thinking I was getting the aches and pains of getting older. So I ignored a lot of the signs. When I finally went in to the doctor, it shocked me to learn that I was metastatic because I really thought that that was not going to happen to me.
Did you go into your doctor or did you go to the oncologist? Who'd you go
I
to?
I actually went to my primary care doctor. Just thought that I thought that I'd hurt my back or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And she had the best poker face I think I've ever known in my life because she looked at those x-rays and said, "Oh, it could be cancer, it could be you broke something," or there was a third thing. And she immediately called my oncologist after I
Okay.
left and my oncologist called me, and I was
Okay.
like, "Oh, so you knew, but you didn't want to
Okay.
tell me."
Okay.
So,
So
yeah,
you had had some X-rays done so they could see.
I did. I had some
Okay.
X-rays done when I went into her office that day.
Okay.
There was a lot of questions around the doctors as to how are you walking, because my whole left pelvis was gone.
Okay. Wow.
I went from walking into her office to leaving on crutches to a week later being in a wheelchair.
Okay.
And then I started radiation and was able to take that backwards and get onto a walker, at least get out of the wheelchair. So
And did they put you on anything else, medication-wise?
that was my first interaction with
Mm-hmm.
metastatic.
Okay.
And so we actually ended up, I called my gynecologist because they wanted to put me onto a medication that I needed to be in menopause. And I was
Yep.
44, I wasn't in menopause. And they gave me the option. They said, we can give you an injection to put you into menopause, or you can have a hysterectomy. So I
Okay.
called my gynecologist and said, hey, this is what's going on. And he said, let me call your oncologist and I'll call you right back. And he called me back 30 minutes later and we had a hysterectomy scheduled.
Okay.
So I did a hysterectomy so that I could go on to the medication,
Okay.
which did not last very long, honestly, because I had progression very quickly after that.
Okay.
So
And what did that mean? What was the progression?
I had progression in my ribs and in my spine.
Okay.
And the medication that we went on, which was an oral medication, Arimidex probably, I think it
Yep.
was,
Mm-hmm.
um, didn't last very long. Um,
Same.
but yeah, but you know what? I got a hysterectomy out of it and didn't have to have that silly shot once a month. So
Yeah.
anyway, like I said, for me, all of my progression has always been in the bones. I've had a lot of progression in my spine over the years, various times, various locations, and in ribs. And
So
then
what other medications have you been on? So you did Arimidex.
I did Arimidex, I did Faslodex, I did not chemo, I did Iridia, which was the precursor to now the what is it they give to people that have to strengthen the bones. Can't remember
Oh,
what that was called.
Zometa.
Zometa. Zometa.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the precursor to Zometa. So I did that for
Okay.
2 years plus
Yeah.
every 6 months for a few years till I met the limit on that. I did capecitabine or Xeloda. I
Mm-hmm.
was on that for 7 years. And I have done Verzenio. I have done Enhertu. I'm now on a new drug called Orserdu. And I know I have forgotten because this is my 9th line of
Okay.
treatment right now. So I know I've
Okay.
forgotten some of the others along the way.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
Yeah.
it's a lot.
It is a lot. So how do you feel on a daily basis? Like how are you feeling right now?
Currently, I'm doing really well. The Orserdu is very minimal side effects.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm appreciative of that because I've had my share of side effects, and HER2 put me in the hospital. I only had 2 rounds of that, and I ended up with the pneumonitis and in the hospital for
Okay.
a few days. So 2023 was a really bad year for me. So I'm grateful right now to be feeling good and be able to get out and do things.
So how do you deal with progression when do you usually, well, 2 questions. Do you usually know, do you feel progression or does it come up in a scan or has it been both? And then
Uh,
how do you deal with
it
it?
it has been both. I can remember one time going into the doctor and his first question was, "How does your back feel?" And
Yeah.
by the tone of the question, I said, "Well, it feels better than apparently it should."
Yeah.
So, and then I've had other times when I just knew that the scan results was going to come back and there was going to be progression.
Okay.
So it depends. And I've got, unfortunately or fortunately, you can look at it both ways, a very high pain threshold. So a lot of times I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gone both ways.
Okay. Okay. How do you handle like that fear and uncertainty? Anything that you do to cope?
You know, over the years, I've learned different things that work for me. When I go in for scans, it's usually a CT scan and then a body scan for the bone scan.
Mm-hmm.
And there's usually about 2 hours between the scans. So I will
Mm-hmm.
try to schedule lunch or something with a friend because I can't eat before the CT scan, so I'm usually starving.
Yeah.
So I try to have something fun
Mm-hmm.
to take my mind off of it when the scans are actually happening. Leading up to it, I just have learned to recognize that that's what it is
Yeah.
and learn to put it in perspective, I guess, over time, because you get the anxiety building up before the scans
Yeah.
happen. And, you know, again, I've been doing this for so long. This is 15 years now, and I do scans every 3 to 4 months still because I
Okay.
had so much progression that unless I'm really feeling something and getting anxious, then I can manage that by just trying to distract myself by
Okay.
going out with friends, going for a walk, playing with my watercolors, doing that
Okay.
kind of thing. So,
What do you think, what are some of the mental or emotional shifts that you've made that have helped you live with cancer? Live with the changes?
well, just a little quick more background on me.
Sure.
Um,
Oh, I didn't even ask. Sorry, we got to go back to that.
that's
You need
okay.
to tell me about your life pre-cancer also.
So, my husband passed away 9 years ago from renal cancer.
Okay.
And
I'm
so
sorry.
I've now lived longer with metastatic cancer since he's been gone
Okay.
than with him still alive. So I lived 6 years with metastatic cancer with him, and then it's been 9 years now without him.
Yeah.
So my focus, my way of dealing with things has changed not just because of cancer, but because of grief and moving forward on with life that way too. So I just needed to
Absolutely.
preface it
It's
with
so
that.
true. No, it's true. Yeah.
Um, so you know, I don't let other people steal my joy. I've learned and I've had to learn to set boundaries with people, and you know, they may be temporary boundaries, they may be long-term boundaries,
Yeah.
depends on what's going on. But life is short, you know. My husband died the year I turned 50, and that was I understood what being a cancer patient was. I didn't
Yeah.
understand what being a caregiver was until that happened. And it was a real awakening to understand what he had gone through for the last 6 years of taking care of me, really, to
Wow.
flipping those tables and taking care of him for 10 months. So I've learned over the last 9 years that it's not worth the disruption to let people steal my joy.
I like that. Perspective. I mean, cancer will give you perspective, right? And unfortunately,
Absolutely.
you have gotten that from both sides.
Yeah.
What a challenge.
It's it's been interesting. It's
Yeah.
been interesting. Survivor's guilt is a real thing as well. My father, my husband, my mother-in-law, and my father-in-law have all died from various forms of cancer, and all after I was diagnosed metastatic. So I've had to wrestle with a lot of,
And what have you, has anything brought you relief with that? What have you, what's the consensus?
you know, I mean, I've seen a couple of therapists, and that has
Mm-hmm.
helped.
Yeah.
I'm very involved in my church and have a great support system there. Community to me is the one thing that I could never live without.
Okay.
Sitting here in my house and just dwelling on things, it will eat you alive.
For sure.
So I have surrounded myself with amazing people. I have a group from the Metastatic support group that I've been a part of for a long time. I've got friends from church. I've got friends in my neighborhood. And, you know, not everybody can appreciate what I've been through,
Yeah.
but they can all sit with me
Yeah.
and offer the authenticness of that friendship.
That's awesome. Yeah. Have you dealt with side effects?
Oh, there's a loaded question.
I was going to say, is that a leading question?
That is a leading question, and we haven't even talked beforehand about this. I said how 2023 was a rough year because I was in the hospital from pneumonitis with HER2. Last year, in 2024, I actually had 4 different surgeries, all related just to side effects. So the Taxotere family caused me to have blocked tear ducts. I ended up meeting an amazing surgeon for that and had surgery on both of my tear ducts last year. And I also had osteonecrosis of my jaw from probably several of the medications and
The
maybe capacetabine.
biphosphonates.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so he had to go in and had to ENT had to do surgery on my lower jaw, and there was actually 2 surgeries because he went in and did part of it and then had to go back in and do some more. So, and then capacetabine, I had the infamous hand and foot syndrome to the point where we had to reduce the dosage so that, because that was like walking on coals. My feet would burn from the inside out. And I still to this day really don't have fingerprints from the redness and the scaling and all of that. From my daughters give me a hard time. They say, "Mom, you'd be a great bank robber, but they'd catch you because you can't run very fast because of your leg."
That's funny. I'd have a lot of trouble. Have to get fingerprinted for every place I work. That would be a problem.
You know, they've kind of started to come back when the
Yeah.
iPhones first came out and they wanted to
yeah.
do the thumbprint.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work for me. Just kind of some
Yeah.
of those things that you've learned to deal with over the time.
Yeah. I've had osteonecrosis of the jaw also, and it's caused significant issues. Mine was actually in the roof of my mouth and the top,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
gone into my sinus. So sinus wise, it causes so many problems. As somebody
Yeah.
who's always dealt with allergies, it's a challenge. But when you can't truly blow your nose, my husband's like,
Yeah.
"You sound awesome." So, uh, so you talked a little bit about having support, like in the community. Can you think of some things that people have done for you specifically over the years that have just made a big difference, or that you remember that were just really helpful or hopeful?
So after my husband passed away, we lived in a small town. We'd had many conversations because we knew that he was not going to survive long term. So he wanted me to move in closer to our church and some of our friends. So I built a brand new house. So, you know, talk about hope.
Yeah.
Somebody with stage 4 metastatic cancer building a brand new house. I can't even tell you how many people that came to my house and helped me pack. And then when I moved in here, helped me unpack. A friend of mine, when they poured the slab on my house, we came over here with Sharpies and wrote on the
I love that.
slab, and I, you know, wrote my husband's name on there.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up moving in 3 days before our wedding anniversary.
Okay.
So I've always said, like, this was his final gift to me, right,
Yeah.
for our wedding anniversary. So I've had that. I've got one friend who every year will come over and pull the weeds out of my flower beds at the beginning of spring
Yeah.
and spread the mulch that I bought. In fact, this year she said, you know what, you haven't called me to schedule that. So, and I've got some other friends that where I live, there's a lot of rabbits in our neighborhood. My dog seems to like to chase them. So I have certain people that I can call that will come and take care of the rabbits for me after she's had her fun.
Okay.
I've learned who to call for what.
Yep.
I've just kind of got a list of people in my head, and it's like, okay, when I need this done, this is who I'm going
Yeah.
to call. When I need this done, this is who I know I can call.
Yeah.
In the past, I've had friends just say, hey, I'm at the grocery store. What can I bring you? Not
Yeah.
a, hey, do you need anything? It's, I'm here. I'm doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
That was before the days of, ordering groceries online.
Right. Right. Right.
Still, just
Yeah.
doing things without asking.
Yeah. What have you come to value more deeply since your diagnosis?
Friends and family.
Yeah.
I always valued family.
Sure.
I was raised in the military, so friends I didn't value as much because, growing up, my friends changed every 2 years.
Yeah.
I've really learned what true friendship is over the past, especially since my husband passed away.
Yeah.
And I value that. I value their time. I value their insight. And kind of like what I said earlier, I value my peace.
Yeah.
And I'm doing better at setting boundaries and saying, you know what, this is not really benefiting me right now, so I'm
Yeah.
out. So I've had to learn to say more yes, and I've had to learn to say more no.
Yeah, I've come kind of to the same conclusion that like some things are seasons and they're not forever.
Yeah,
You can just be grateful for that, but it doesn't mean it goes on forever, right?
exactly.
We
Very
get one
true.
shot at living this life, right? So,
Yeah.
do you have any words or affirmations or mantras that have carried you through difficult times?
I keep going back to my husband. He was my soulmate. But one thing that he did before he died was he wrote a letter to me, and he wrote one to each of my daughters as well. And the very last thing that he wrote in his letter to me was, find a reason to smile every day. So, that was hard in the beginning, but
Yeah.
I was trying to honor that, right?
Yeah.
I've gotten better at it over the years.
Yeah.
I think I do smile more now than those first few years, for sure. So there's that. That's one of the ones that I go by. And then I always tell my friends when we're going to do something, they're like, can you do this? And I'm like, well, I'm going to do what I can, while I can, when I can. And I can do anything for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
I might not want to do it all the time, but I can do anything
Right.
for a short amount of time. So again, I have a 2.5-inch differential in my leg due
Okay.
to complications
Yeah.
from my cancer. It was rebuilt originally in 2011,
Okay.
and then it got infected in 2017, and they took it all out.
Okay.
And so I walk with a limp, I walk with a cane, I walk with a 2.5-inch build on my shoe. So there are things that I can't do, but there are things that I can do for a little bit. And so I just try to do that.
Focus more on that. What do you want to know, or what do you want other women with breast cancer to know? What would you tell them, especially early diagnosed?
First, I would tell them that they need to have a great relationship with their oncologist. They need to find somebody that they trust, and that if the first one that they've seen isn't that person, there's others out there, and go find them, because they do exist.
Yeah.
And there are some great ones out there.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate with my oncologist. He just recently retired. And I always dreamt that I would outlive him as far as his work life. And then when it
Yeah.
happened, it was scary. I'm not gonna
It is
lie. I was like,
scary.
it was
Oh,
like
yeah.
getting a divorce almost. I was having to grieve that relationship. I have since found another oncologist in that practice that I absolutely love, so it's good. But that was a very emotional time.
Yeah. You've been through a lot together.
Exactly. The new oncologist said, "Oh, I'm coming in the middle," and I said, "I sure hope so." So we'd
Yeah.
love to have another 20 years to have this relationship grow. So
Yeah.
so there's that. There's also the fact that I have been on at least 3 medications
Hmm.
since my original diagnosis that were not approved prior to my diagnosis.
Yeah.
So don't lose hope in the fact that if the first one doesn't work, that is not the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
There are lots of other medications out there and more coming all the time. And I'm not going to get political. There are more coming all the time
Fingers
that,
crossed. Yes, there are.
yeah. But again, I can count 3 for sure that
Yeah.
I know of that did not exist or were not approved anyway.
Yep.
In fact, the one that I'm on currently, I think was just approved in January of last year. So
Yeah.
don't lose hope if one drug doesn't work because there are other options out there.
Just move on.
And
I mean, I think you can be disappointed, but I always kind of say you can go there for a little bit, but then you can't stay there. You
you
got to
can't
move
stay there.
forward.
That's exactly right. You need to feel the feelings.
Sure.
Feel the feelings,
Yep.
but don't stay in the feelings.
Yep.
Move
Yeah.
through them.
Yep. I
So,
agree. Yeah. So the name of the podcast is I'm Still Here. What do you want the world to know about what it means to say I'm still here? What does that mean to you?
for me, I think about my daughters because they've lost their dad, right?
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that I'm still here and that I'm still involved in their lives. And I'm grateful to be able to have, like I said, the friendships that I have and just experience life. I've got signs all over my house about, let's find the next adventure kind of thing. Um, I recently told somebody that because they said, "Oh, well, you don't really need to share your story. That people don't need to know that." And I said, "No, they do. People need to know my story because if I don't share my story, then others might not understand that there is some hope out there." And
Yeah.
it would be to me like being on Survivor and getting voted off with an idol in my pocket if I wasn't
Okay.
sharing my story, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of my new analogy.
You
It's
need
for
hope.
me or for others.
Yeah.
It's not just for me that I'm still
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
It's for the others that are out.
Yeah, I've had such a response since I started this series too. People are just really in need of that, of hope to know that people have gone before them, are still going before them, right? And I would have given anything for it in
Right.
1998. I couldn't find anybody. So I appreciate that you are willing to share your story. And it's been just reading responses and hearing back from people. And sometimes it's also the people that are earlier stages who then, I was diagnosed stage 4, so I don't have any experience being, but I have spent a lot of time with women with earlier stages, and being stage 4 is just so terrifying to them. And I understand why, but also it's just important to realize that even at that stage, we can live with cancer and we can still live well with cancer.
Right.
Thank you so much
I
for
appreciate
being,
it.
yeah, and
Appreciate the opportunity.
sharing your story. Thanks so much for watching and being a part of our community. It means the world to us. Our goal is always to help as many people as possible live well with cancer. You can help us by subscribing to our channel and sharing episodes when you hear of others that could benefit from it. We really appreciate your time spent with us and your commitment to offering hope and inspiration to others.